Now, I'm going to be catching up shortly with Michael Shuman, a.k.a. Mikey Shoes from Queens of the Stone Age. He's their bass player. Because next week, this day week, in fact, they're going to release their brand new album. It's called In Times New Roman. And I'm going to be talking to Michael about the band itself, about the new album, and also about these songs that we're going to hear from. But let's start with this one. This is called Emotion Sickness. This is Queens of the Stone Age.
Want to destroy single servings.
Queens of the Stone Age and Emotion Sickness, taken from their magnificent new album In Times New Roman. This will be their 8th album in a career spanning over 25 years, and which has seen them carve a very specific niche in rock music, a sound shaped by knife-edge riffs that somehow still manages to carry the wide expanse of the desert. To find out more about the new album, I'm delighted to say that I'm joined now by Queens of the Stone Age bassist Michael Shuman. Mikey, you're very welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Before we talk about the album, let me just quickly ask you about the song we've just heard. Tell us a little bit about Emotion Sickness.
I guess lyrically, I don't want to speak too much because they're Josh's words, and he'd probably be able to explain a little better. But I think, as most people probably know, it's been an interesting time for him, and so I think that kind of speaks to it.
What is the emotion and the mood in general in the band about this new album?
As all the records are, for some reason, they're really, really difficult to make for us. So there's a lot of emotions that go into the process, the writing, the recording. I don't know why they're so difficult, but there's always something that's going on in our lives that makes it a challenge. But at the end, you know, there's a rainbow at the end, and there's high fives, and I think with this one, same thing. I think we're all really proud of it. I think, you know, going into making it, we weren't really sure what it would be, and we did it all our own, produced it ourselves. You just hope at the end of the day that everyone likes it, but as long as we love it, that's kind of all that matters.
Can you give us an insight into the album title, In Times New Roman? I mean, is that the band's preferred text font for emails?
I think it's probably the most boring and vanilla of the fonts, and I think that's the point. We don't like to take ourselves too seriously. I think that's not the right thing to do in music. I think you need to have a little bit of a wink and a nod, and in some ways, you know, just talking about our world today. And I think we have no idea what's coming, and it's wild out there. So you just kind of hold on tight and go on for the ride.
I want to go into more depth about the new album in just a moment, but for the benefit of some of our listeners who don't know, I want to place you in the Queens of the Stone Age story, if you don't mind. You joined in 2007. How did you feel about the band before you were a member? Were you a fan? Did you have the records? What was your relationship with the band before you became a member?
Yeah, Queens was probably my favorite modern rock and roll band. If I could have played, you know, Mark Wahlberg in Rockstar in that movie, it'd probably be along the similar lines. It was a big deal for me, and at 21 years old, you don't know what's going to be handed to you in life, and that just changed the whole trajectory of it. So, you know, I'm pretty jaded now, but at the time, it was all very exciting.
It seemed to really change the dynamic of the band whenever you joined, because the lineup had been changing quite frequently in the years leading up to that. But whenever you joined, that seemed to lock something in place. Why do you think that was?
Good people. It's not just about the music. It's about being around people that you love and that you want to spend time with. And so I think, you know, Josh, being our leader, realized he wanted to put this thing together, and he found the right pieces because we're like a family, man. You know, it's like, we vacation together, we hang out with the kids together. I don't have kids, but I hang out with their kids. And I think that's the most important part. I think that's why it's lasted so long.
I was just going to say, you've described it in the past as being like a band of brothers, essentially.
It is, man. We look after each other, we love each other. And you don't find that a lot in a lot of bands.
So you've got that deep bond, that deep relationship, that deep family connection. How does that manifest itself in practice in the band? Is there a sort of a telepathic relationship between you as musicians whenever you play live, whenever you sit down to write?
Yeah, there is, right? I think it's time. You find that groove over time, and we all just want the best out of each other. The thing about being in the studio, too, is like there's no rules. There's no, like, if Josh wants to play bass on a song, he's going to play bass on a song. If I have a guitar part, I'm going to do guitar part. And it's that mutual respect that I think that really works for us and bonds us.
Mark Ronson produced your last album. You've produced this new album yourselves as a band. What do you see as the key differences this time around?
In a band with 5 guys who have strong opinions, and Josh, the strongest of all opinions, it's really hard to like get a word in, right? So if you're coming in as a producer, it's not like you're gonna like take over and tell us what to do. We're not 15-year-old kids either that don't know what they're doing, right? We've all done this a million times. So Ronson was more just like a 6 member and a cheerleader to like make sure that we were making the best Queens of the Stone Age record possible. I always thought that was the best thing that he said. He was like, look, I'm coming in as a huge fan, and I want to just make sure you guys make a Queens of the Stone Age record that I love as a fan.
You recorded some of it at Rick Rubin's Shangri-La studio in Malibu, and anytime I see photographs from there, it just looks completely breathtaking. I don't know how bands get any work done, you know, just looking out at the sea. So, I mean, it seems to be on the side of a hill overlooking the ocean. What was it like to record there?
It is one of the most beautiful spots that you can possibly record. And we did get some good stuff there, and I loved being there, but I gotta be honest, it wasn't the right spot for us in what we were doing at that time. It's basically a house, right? So there was some beautiful like open spaces and open rooms that we did strings. We did some strings there. But when it came to mixing, it wasn't the right spot for us, and we kind of needed to go back to our home base and finish it out there. So as amazing as it is, I don't know if it was the right place for us.
Is there a theme running through this album, a story that ties it all together? I know you were talking about how the lyrical ideas are coming from Josh, but as a band, in terms of the conversations that you've had, do you see this having a kind of a story central to understanding what this record is about?
Yeah, I think again with the name, it kind of talks about how I think we all see our world, and yes, laugh at how, I don't know if I can swear on this, but like how messed up this world is, right? And we're the type of band, and we want to create the type of world where everyone's included. You know, unless you're racist, homophobic, piece of garbage, then you can get out. But everyone else is welcome, and you can do whatever you want. And I think that's what we love about our band. That's what we love about our fans when you go to our shows.
Speaking of shows, how do you feel about taking this album out on the road?
Can't wait, man. I can't wait. We just did our first 2, and it felt really good. So I'm ready.
Mikey, it's been amazing talking to you today. We're going to finish off this interview with your most recent single, which is Carnavoyeur. What can you tell us about this one? I suppose one of the things I love about this, you were talking about the strings that you recorded at Shangri-La. I love the way the strings rise up just towards the very end, and the guitars seem to claw them back just at the last split second of the song. There's something really powerful about that. But tell us a wee bit about this song.
Yeah, I think again, lyrically it speaks for itself. It's just talking about, I think aging a little bit, and time, and how precious it is, and living in the now, and how we're small, we're small in this world. We're blips. And I think musically it was something really, for me, it was something that we kind of figured out in the studio with that groove, and maybe a little Bowie and Iggy inspired as well here and there. But it's one of my favorite songs on the record for sure.
Michael Shuman, thank you so much indeed for joining us on the program.
Thank you, Stephen. Appreciate it, man.
This is Queens of the Stone Age and Carnavoyeur.
Nothing.
That is a song called Carnavoyeur. It is by Queens of the Stone Age, and it is on their brand new album, which is coming out next Friday. The album is called In Times New Roman. And huge thank you to Michael Shuman from Queens of the Stone Age for joining us on the programme tonight.